35 years of out-of-body experiences, I have recently been plagued by hostile life forms or unholy spirits. First of all, my experience taught me that when you journey out of the body, you begin utilizing the mysterious uncharted 2/3 part of your brain, a scientific anomaly if you will, that is symbolic to the true nature of the universe. In other words, the mind harbors infinite layers of time within its creative matrix or pulp of imagination or fiction that we decree as memory or fantasy, repetitiously formulating and evolving a mirror image of what it sees or envisions. It's similar to a camcorder capable of projecting a 3D hologram display. Ghostly to us, but it mimics an actual true region of the mind, composed of many dimensional planes that is more real than corporeal life as we know it. Every decision or series of thoughts made in the mind will create a chain of events to follow. When these thoughts are changed, a different chain of events will materialize, thereby creating an alternate reality or parallel dimensional plane, meaning that a new universe is born. Keep in mind though, that previous thoughts or changed events cannot be destroyed and will remain in the supreme reality of the astral world of the mind. By this logic, past events of what was or what could have been will still exist with its own universal world of predestined events. Also, every astral universal dimension that comes into existence inherits a unique vibrating tone or is paired to a specific sound wave. It's a birthmark or birth tone, if you will, reminiscent of Gabriel's, the archangel's trumpet, making an announcement of change or an ideal of prophecy ready to materialize or be born again. It is similar to the purpose of a simple alarm clock, causing an awakening followed by a chain of events. If you would take note of the two previous paragraphs very carefully, you will see that I am merely justifying that the astral world is organic and viable, and when making an out-of-body journey, you are actually falling back into your own mind and will thus witness and share your creative memories and imagination with other indigenous souls, as well as witnessing the spiritual origin in other dimensions of extraterrestrial habitats that may have hostile or friendly intentions. While projecting, you may also actually feel or hear this signature vibration or birth tone, depending on the time, dimension, or dwelling place you transition to in the astral world, or you may simply witness only the present state of your world with its current surroundings. We must remember that the human brain is basically an energy field that originally emerged from the Earth and is therefore similar to the blueprint of Earth's makeup, being essentially separated by two different environments. The world reveals only 33.3% of landmass, which is a model of the brainwave activity, coexisting with a 66.6 equatorial water mass, which models our unused brain activity, thus signifying no beginning or ending with an infinite amount of hostile or benign marine life. The marine life, modeling the premature alpha waves element of the brain, is unpredictable, impulsive, random, and undisciplined with no restriction to its evolution. The out-of-body environment, like the ocean or outer space, is an eternal twilight zone housing an infinite number of different worlds as if you are tuning in on different radio frequencies or rotating endless TV channels, with each bandwidth having its own dimensional plane or world existence. I think of it as being similar to the many mansions of God's world appearing as a spiral dust maze of scattered light with frequency or vibrating tones, whereas your temporary placement or visit between worlds is dependent upon either your creative imagination, self-judgment, or self-worth or value, with value being measured by your own philosophical beliefs and logic molded by the environment or society you exist in. The astral mind is so vast that when you exit the human body, you are like a grain of sand stillborn in the valleys of the desert. Understand, however, that as your astral minds enter into this maze and meet other forms of life in the astral world, the out-of-body experience is still merely a temporary, incomplete, premature transition. It is incomplete because of the connection or life commitment it has to your original human body of pulp or flesh that preserves you, such as a temporary umbilical cord committed to a newborn infant that is still sustaining life momentarily after birth. Our astral form also has this umbilical cord attached to the brain like hair locks to a scalp, allowing you to always transition back to your living body until over time it is ready to permanently separate and evolve to the next appointed vibration or frequency dimension of God's universal mansion. The astral world of the 66.6 uncharted part of the mind is also like the mystery of an amniotic sea. Some souls simply come out from the 33.3 landmass and go swimming, while others venture in deep scuba diving exploration, but shortly thereafter are compelled to return to land as the oxygen gets depleted in connection to snuba or scuba pioneering. Snuba is a new technique for scuba without a tank on your back. The tank usually ends up in a boat or a ship, and you have a line that's tied to the tank, giving you life support underwater. The astral projectors are the minority divers venturing in the astral world. They are therefore bound by the same rules as scuba divers. That is, when you are out of body and probe within other dimensional frequencies or water depth frequencies with respect to scuba, without order, instruction, or spiritual guidance, then your journey becomes meaningless, confusing, and dangerous, and can be disruptive in the natural order of your evolution. Consequently, you must refrain from being a willing participant once your wisdom has developed to the point of realizing that out-of-body experiences is merely a premature awareness, bearing witness to the dwelling place of the other side. Anything else is unworthy without a sacred spirit guide of the astral world. I believe many of us should associate the out-of-body experience as the universal ocean of incarnation, with confirmation of how we are born again by way of transitioning to and from our procreative minds at God's speed, the wink of an eye. However, if you begin to get unpleasant out-of-body experiences, then it is obviously a telltale sign that you have gone far enough. You must take responsibility and temper or sustain your curiosity and simply stop the out-of-body experience. Otherwise, astral projecting could have a negative mental or spiritual impact throughout your current life and may adversely affect your eternal existence. So by this reckoning, you must always keep positive, strong, comprehensive faith to preserve your human values no matter what takes place in your life experience. We must rebuke the temptations of life that are potentially harmful. The astral experience itself was, however, exhilarating for me, giving great inspiration due to my many spiritual close encounters, and thus getting the highest privilege nature can afford me of attaining unique knowledge and awareness. In retrospect, however, nature can also be treacherous, going too far in a frenzy of astral discovery and become an unworthy challenge. Since I had taken this challenge many years ago, although many times I did not have a choice by not having the ability to control my sleep state environment, and if you have already taken the challenge yourself and felt it was a rewarding experience, then it is conceivable that we use this knowledge to get a greater understanding of our immortal existence and thus enrich the mortal life cycle of which we were born. And that's it. So far though, I have not been able to stop this repetitive paranormal activity due to my insomnia, preventing me from the normal REM sleep stage, while instead, at the point of extreme fatigue, I transition into the astral world fully aware while my physical body undergoes physical paralysis. My despair or terror started after a recent astral projection experience where I pushed too far to get to the next level. I wanted more contact than I already had, and as a result, while standing at the doorway of my living room, I had inadvertently invited monstrous entities. I believe my biggest mistake was giving a shout out that was detected by my vibration tone, of course, to all the many frequencies of space and time, alerting my presence and imploring to make contact. 2 or 3 entities pursued me like flesh-eating shark attacks, reflecting the monstrous, hideous look of a deformed clown-like werewolf appearance. It was like ringing the dinner bell by the ping of an ocean submarine. What's also interesting in this out-of-body experience is that my mind had apparently created a past duplicate of my living room. The furniture was in the same position as it was before I changed it 1 month earlier, yet these hostile entities still became a part of it. Apparently, when you willfully give an open invitation, entities can still be present even if it is a recreation from memory. Thoughts or memory in the astral world are more realistic and supreme than our material world of life and death, because all things of the astral or spirit form have eternal existence. As a dual reality though, the astral world is also eternal death, the shadow of death materializing artificial light, but it is only artificial light if you look at it from death's perspective. Confusing, isn't it? So this leads me to the moral of the story, as I therefore recommend that no one ever practice this exercise, for out-of-body experiences can be too risky with unwarranted challenge to your immortal soul. It is true that we are afraid of what we don't understand, such as an infant born in a world it's not familiar with, and rightly so. Therefore, since it is a fact that we cannot fully understand the astral ocean boundaries outside of our world, then let me reiterate that we must withdraw our premature presence and return to our mortal world, especially when we learn that we have no consistent guides present to coach us as we go astray with no boundaries. The risk is the same as an unsupervised newborn baby crawling outside of its safe house into the middle of the street that may be fortunate enough to be randomly discovered by a loving family member or stranger. But then again, the baby could end up dwelling in an unpredictable place as an orphan, or worse, since it is ignorant with innocence. What if a vicious pervert got a hold of this child's innocence and ended up being a victim of a Jeffrey Dahmer mutilation? In other recent out-of-body experiences, I felt pressure about the head and chest holding me down, or restricting my movements and giving the sensation of suffocation, except you could still feel yourself physically breathing. This happens right at the point of my awareness being transitioned into the astral world, but just before the out-of-body separation takes place. I never recognized the body over me, but I know it to be of human gender as I noticed its vivid features looking away back and forth as if being some sort of lookout for another approaching entity, while still holding me down effortlessly. Interestingly, I have learned that the latter out-of-body experience mentioned commonly happens to many people that have out-of-body experiences on a regular basis. So it is not quite understood if these entities that are deemed to be hostile are truly hostile at all with cruel intentions. Their actions may just be territorial and perhaps do not want you entering their world. On the other hand, they may be trying to protect you in the name of God's love by forcing you to stay in your physical body into your own world. It therefore may be premature to panic or struggle in a possible false attack, especially since the end result is merely becoming conscious again among the living. Either way, I am confident that most of the intruding wicked angels of death are deficient against my astral soul as long as I threaten them with the authoritative word of God, with my umbilical cord appearing as an impervious protective shield that I believe tends to discourage dangerous alien or astral aggression. Obviously, some entities' sole purpose is to reflect the fears or nightmares you harbor in your soul, or as mentioned, other sacred souls such as departed relatives will share their loving memories or become very protective. So I believe that being receptive to negative belief is revealed to be self-destructive. And I quote, "Reject or turn away from your alien mirror of sin, and you will destroy its reflection of wickedness, and thus be blinded of its material memory." Commanding evil to cease in the name of God or righteousness, as I proclaim in my astral shout-out, is similar to someone in despair, but with the faith to summon the police, followed by the wicked offender fleeing the area in fear of his or her judgment or incarceration. The presence of the officer's blue uniform in this case represents the umbilical cord of law that is a threat to the violator. So I therefore must continue to learn how to avoid all hostile spiritual environments by maintaining faith, prayer, and continue to govern my fears with courage. God does, however, bless us with a powerful alternative, and that is the phenomenon of fright or flight, because at the very least, my flight will always bring my astral energy back safely to the conscious world within the confines of my living physical body. You see, God sanctions us only to follow the uniform order of nature, mainly due to the fact that negative possibilities can be endless. I, for one, no longer have the curiosity or desire to probe the mysterious astral world, as it is a forbidden gateway for early arrivals anyway. So I will therefore humble myself to share what I have learned to help build the faith of others. There is great meaning behind this divine knowledge, and I will make it count. My greatest challenge today, nonetheless, is to cure my insomnia and accomplish unbroken sleep habits with peaceful dreams to replace my out-of-body experiences. Conclusively, life is but a dream. As mentioned in the opening of this narrative, it is a broken rule of nature for any human being to willfully transition into the uncharted region of the astral mind, thus provoking symptoms of premature death. In this violation, we first observe a male subject spiritually leaving his physical body with a bewildered look as he turns and sees himself in an unconscious sleep state. Notice the arrival of a foreign entity. The subject does not know the reason for its presence nor the reason for other entities that are soon to arrive. None of them, however, reveals no divine purpose and cannot be trusted. Unsure of what to do next, the subject remains out of body for several seconds, followed by an alarming wake-up call that summons him back to the physical world as he realizes that there are no divine entities around to guide him. He will now transition as he did in the distant past, similar to his original birth, by manipulating the energy of the mind to literally rise once again from the dead or the grave, returning to the same physical world he came from, but this time without an incarnation of rebirth of a new physical or spiritual body. In spite of his astral projection ability, fortunately, the majority of people in the world are unable to accomplish self-hypnosis or perform adequate relaxation techniques to protect or awaken the astral mind, or third eye, so to speak. Otherwise, having excessive curiosity can encourage a reckless awakening or awareness that may reflect spiritual infestations of fear. The biggest concern, however, is not what you discover in the astral mind, but what part in the astral mind that may actually discover you. The power of the astral mind suspiciously suggests that an out-of-body experience is really not out of body at all. Theoretically, since our male subject is actually inside of his own mind which coexists as part of the universe, should not his out-of-body experience have a more suitable title such as an inner-body experience? Although logic dictates that we have to go inside the mind first in order to see things on the outside, I believe that being inside or outside is really determined by what you believe is your permanent location or origin of your true existence.